Palidin Ramsey was different. He was not just different from Dryfly, but was unlike anybody else in Brennan's siding. If you searched the whole Miramichi area, you would not find a single person like him. Being effeminate was not his only unusual trait that set him aside from the other boys. He was gentle, kind, imaginative, and ambitious. Perhaps the greatest difference, though, was his curiosity. He was not superstitious, for he did not fear what he did not understand. He was too curious for that. For instance, he had checked out the Totterbrook Whooper long before Shadrack and Dryfly, and had kept it as his very own secret. His Trek had been alone at night. He had watched the lonely man trying to play his trumpet, and had left him to live his life as he chose. He found the fear, the superstition of Brennan's siding, the stories of Shadrack and Dryfly, amusing. The Totterbrook Whooper was a form of entertainment for them, and all he chose not to take it away from them. Palidin went as far in school as Hilda Porter could take him, which was grade 8. To go to high school, he would have had to move to Blackville, to live there and pay room and board, to dress better. Of course, such extravagances were beyond Shirley Ramsey's pecuniary means, so Palidin borrowed what books he could. Hilda Porter was his greatest supplier, and read. John Caston had felt certain that he had converted Palidin to the Baptist fold when he approached for the Bible. Palidin read the Bible and returned it, but his face was never seen in the little church. "Thank you, John, it was interesting," said Palidin, and left before John had a chance to preach. Palidin had taken great pains and much time in the reading of both the New and the Old Testaments. It had been difficult for him, but the crux of his drive had been simple, at least its reading matter. He'd found the Gospel according to St. Matthew the most interesting of all and read it twice. This accounted for another difference in Palidin. He was, unlike the others, aware of the prince of devils and the lord of flies, Beelzebub. You don't have to be Beelzebub, or wicked either, to control flies, he told himself. Palidin saw nothing wrong or unusual in running naked through the forest, sitting naked in swamps, eyeing birds and insects. He had a calmness about him, so that when he sat in the fly-infested swamps of Dungarvan, the black flies and mosquitoes, as well as the other animals, seemed to accept him with a casual indifference. He could walk through fields of goldenrod where thousands of busy bees cluttered the blossoms, theorizing. Take your clothes off and stay calm, and nothing animal will bother you. He liked the bees, and the bees seemed to like him. He never once got stung. If you fear them and feel hostile towards them, he thought, they'll feel it and not like you. It's goodness, not evil, that helps you through the field. Palidin's favorite toy was a dime-sized magnet. It's like holding a little planet, he reasoned. He played with it for hours, picking up needles and nails, spinning it, pondering it, toying with theories of energy, circles, and echoes. He had a theory that if you shouted at a star, your voice would take thousands of years to return, but would eventually do so. West of everybody's property line, deep in the forest, was a valley that everyone in Brennan's siding referred to as the Big Hollow. Because the property was government-owned, Shirley Ramsey often took her family there on picnics. "Nobody will bother us back there," she always said. Of course, when Bonzi got lost just back of the barren beyond the Big Hollow, the picnic stopped. Nobody in the Ramsey family had the heart to go back there again. Nobody, except for Palidin. Palidin liked the barren and went there frequently. The barren was like a lake you could walk on. It was swampy, so that the moss and water would take you to the ankles with every step, but visually it was like a prairie that stretched for several miles, its wild rice and reeds blowing in the wind. There was a huge boulder in the center of the barren where he often sat to think. On that rock, alone, naked, he would tan his body and wait for echoes to return. He fantasized that perhaps a wise old prophet had shouted something from the rock when the barren was still a lake, and that one day the prophet's echo would return. Palidin did not want to miss the prophecy. It took him a great deal of time and effort, but with a stone and chisel he hammered out the inscription. Probe the atom, ponder the echoes of the wise, there lies the secrets of the universe. Palidin Ramsey had but one friend to play with, George Hanley. George was also growing up to be different. When he was a little boy, his hands, feet, and ears had seemed too big for his body, but as he grew, everything seemed to take on the proper dimensions. He was developing into a very tall and handsome man, and that, in itself, was one difference. Brennan siding men were rarely good-looking. George's teeth were even and white, and that, too, made him different. He was also a good friend of Palidin Ramsey, and was more than just a little infatuated with him. They traveled together constantly. Their friendship was faithful and true. None of the other boys in Brennan Siding wanted to be seen with Palidin Ramsey. When he was younger, George spent much of his time playing with girls. He felt girls were more honest and interesting. Girls didn't ask him to be a thief and for the sake of buying friendship. He palled around with Max Caston for a few years, but Max was becoming more and more introverted. Max was scared of everything, would not leave the house at night, had been that way ever since he quit school, and John, fearing Max would never become a preacher, tried to break his spirit by working him long and hard in the woods. But then George became drawn by the magnetism, by the eyes of Palidin Ramsey. Palidin triggered his curiosity, was easy to talk to. Told him things about the earth, man, and the universe. Interesting things that whirled his mind to greater heights. He told himself, I'll be a friend to Palidin, no matter what anyone thinks. Lindon Tucker sat by the kitchen table. The kerosene lamp was turned up a little higher than usual. Lindon Tucker was figuring on a used envelope with an inch-long pencil. No sense wasting good paper, thought Lindon. No, thought Lindon. I can light the fire, as the feller says. Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. I can light the fire with it in the morning, and nobody'll ever know what the figures are about. No. Nobody, not a soul. No one will ever know. Lindon was working on the extremely confidential state of his economy. $7 a day for guidin', he figured. I'll be on the job for 7 days. 7 days, yeah, 7 days on the job. Yeah. Me paycheck should be 7 plus 7 equals 14, 14 plus 7 equals 21, 21 plus 7 equals 28, 28 plus 7 equals 35, 35 plus 7 equals 42, 42 plus 7 equals 49. It's $49, yeah, $49. Yeah, if I get a $5 tip, 49 plus 5 is 54. I'll have 54 big ones. Oh, yeah. Lindon opened his checkbook and thought of his mother. She had passed away the previous spring, and Lindon had been very upset. It cost me nearly... He looked at the checkbook. Damn! $1,200 to bury her. $1,200 for putting somebody in the ground. The checkbook read $3,962 and 17, and the 49 for guiding, and I'll have, he figured, $4,017. Damn, he swore. When Mom was alive, we had over $5,000. Clara's senior citizen check once a month, and Lyndon's penny pinching over a period of 15 years were the reason for the $5,000, but Clara's death. Damn, $1,200 for putting somebody in the ground is robbery. To Lindon, $5,000 was the magical figure. Lindon Tucker thought about his riverfront property. I could sell him all the way to the bottom of the hill. That's about 500 feet. Me lot's about 90 rods long, 90 rods by 500 feet. Wonder what it's worth. If I had good hay on it, it'd be worth a lot more, he thought. If it had lumber on it, it'd be worth more again. But there ain't nothing there. Nope, nothing on it. No, nothing on it, no. Damn, he swore at the table. The envelope and his pencil. I should have had it plowed and seeded. Land ain't worth nothing if there's no hay on it. Bill Wallace is American. He might have a figure in mind, thought Lindon. Lindon eyed his checkbook and wondered if Bill Wallace would give him enough for that old shore to bring his figure $4,011.17 back up to $5,000. I'll ask him for $1,200 and let him think he's beaten me down to $1,000, decided Lindon. Across the river and upstream, another gentleman, Bill Wallace, sat pondering figures. That much river frontage on the Connecticut, or the Housatonic, would go up for $500,000. Up here in the sticks, it's not worth a penny more than $50,000. I'll have somebody build me a nice cabin on it. Another $50,000. Bill Wallace wondered if Lindon Tucker was capable of negotiating. Bill Wallace sipped his scotch and envisioned the Lindon Tucker salmon pool. The Bill Wallace salmon pool, he said to himself. 90 rods of private river frontage. The pool's got hundreds of boulders on it. A strong current, deep water, a gravel beach for land and salmon on. Oh, it's perfect. One of the best pools on this damn river. Maybe the world. $50,000 would be a steal. A tax write-off. Dryfly Ramsey had fine brown hair and a natural part in the middle of his scalp. In Brennan Siding, it was not cool to part your hair in the middle. If Dryfly Ramsey combed his hair over from a part on the left side, it would hide the natural part in the middle. When Dryfly greased and combed his hair back like Elvis, his hair went flip-flop, and there was the part, like a zipper, streaking back the middle of his head. More grease would hold everything in place, but only until he moved. Although Dryfly didn't know it, he was confronting a problem that would always keep him homely and without confidence for a great deal of his adolescence. Dryfly knew by the shape of his head, the big nose, and the peaked chin that he would never look like Elvis Presley, but he felt the hair at least would help. As Dryfly labored in front of the piece of mirror that hung on the wall above the water bucket, he was very discouraged. If Dryfly had had a closet, he would have hidden in it. Maybe I can train it to lay back, he thought, and I'll hold my head very still. He turned very slowly and away from the mirror. How's it looking, Mom? Looks good, dear. Don't use up all me lard. Well, what am I going to use, Mom? You won't let me buy any veal cream? How about the tobacco? Who buys you the tobacco? No argument there, said Dryfly. See you later, he said and left. As he stepped off the porch, his hair went flip-flop. Palidin sat quietly in his bedroom with a book in front of him. He was reading. Palidin was looking in the men's underwear section of the Tea-Eaten catalog. He heard Dryfly leave. I wish Dryfly would have some sense, he thought. Surely he was sitting by the kitchen table thinking and smoking a cigarette. Maybe I should do something with myself, she thought. The girls are all off and Palidin's the only one home. It's getting lonesomer all the time. I should have a man. Maybe I'll wash my hair. Maybe I'll wash all over. Palidin! No answer. Palidin, you go out somewhere. I want to take a bath. No answer. Palidin! I'll be out in a minute, Mom. Now, Palidin, I want to take a bath. Why? Why don't you go to the river, Mom? Because I want to take it here. Okay, Mom, I'm coming. When Dryfly met Shadrack at the meeting place, the footbridge, he saw that Shad hadn't forgotten the empty pickle jar. Shadrack and Dryfly had plans for the pickle jar. Here, you carry it. You're the one's going to be using it, said Shadrack, passing Dryfly the pickle jar. Remember the plan? I know, said Dryfly. They landed at the Cabbage Island Salmon Club at 8 o'clock. Dryfly dressed in his best shirt, cowboy shirt with snap buttons, blue jeans and sneakers. Shad had on a blue plaid shirt with the collar turned up and the sleeves rolled in wide, well-ironed cuffs to just below the elbow. Shad's bright red hair was greased back and staying nicely in place. Shad's lip was already feeling tired from holding it in the unaccustomed curled fashion. Lillian was sitting on the veranda in sandals, blue jeans, and a red halter-top blouse. She was writing a letter, and when she saw Shad and Dry approaching, she put her pen down and closed the writing pad. Hi, guys, she said. G'day, how it's going? Good day. How are you boys? Good. It's a warm day, isn't it? Hot. Would you like a soda? Both boys, being accustomed to calling it pop, thought of the cow brand baking soda, so also used for a seltzer for indigestion. No, that's all right. Not right now, said Dry. I have some nice cold soda in the fridge if you want some, said Lillian. I might have a glass of water, maybe, said Shad. You sure you don't want a Pepsi, Dryfly? Yeah, I might have a Pepsi, said Dryfly. Shad wondered why Lillian hadn't offered him a Pepsi. Lillian stood and offered Dryfly her hand. I'm Lillian Wallace, she said. Dryfly Ramsey. Lillian smiled. I'll get the Pepsi and the water, she said, and went inside. What do you do with the pickle bottle? Asked Shad behind me. Remember the plan? Yep, I got her. Here you go, boys. Thanks. So, what's your real name, Dryfly? Driftly, said Dryfly. Shad chuckled and Lillian smiled. There's something about Dryfly, thought Lillian. Honesty, perhaps. And you play guitar, she asked. Nah, a few chords, that's all. And modesty, thought Lillian. You should hear him. He's some good, put in Shad. Well, I'd like to, said Lillian. The three sat in the shade of the veranda, consuming the view and feeling the caress of the warm summer breeze. From here, they should see a man beaching a salmon over on Cabbage Island. They could hear the faint whine of the reel and see the sunlight dancing on the pressured bamboo rod. Dr. Saunders, said Lillian. Looks like a big one, said Dryfly. Do you fish? Asked Lillian. Some, said Dryfly. Do you catch many big ones? Now and again. Do you guide? Some. Never caught a salmon in his life, said Shadrack. Ain't old enough to guide either. Am not. You am too. You're not. Am too. Might go guiding this fall. Play guitar is all you do. Shad didn't like the way things were going. Lillian was directing too much of her conversation at Dryfly. Lillian's my girl, he thought. Surely she can't be interested in Dryfly. There's something mysterious about Dryfly, thought Lillian. Shad didn't like the way the conversation was going, but he had brought it back where he wanted it, as far as the plan was concerned. You should have your guitar here. Play us a song, said Shadrack, winking at Dryfly. Later, maybe, said Dryfly. In all actuality, Lillian Wallace was not the prettiest girl in the world. It was just that Shadrack and Dryfly thought she was the prettiest girl in the world. They were like two dogs mooning and sniffing a dog in heat. They saw magic in her smile, mystery in her accent, wisdom, honesty, and sophistication in her eyes. A dark cloud was creeping up the western sky. Looks like we might get a shower, said Dryfly. Not for a couple of hours, said Shad. The birds are still out. Do birds know when it's going to rain? Asked Lillian. Birds are like hens, said Shad. A hen will go under a shed or something when you're about to get a shower. If you're about to get a day's rain, the hen will stay outside, pay the rain no mind at all. Then birds will go and hide in an hour or so, just you watch. Shad was feeling very wise and grown up. His father has told him about hens, but Shad wasn't sure about birds in general. It didn't matter though. If the birds stayed out, he'd say they were in for a big rain. If the birds took shelter, it was late enough in the evening so that they'd be in for the night anyway. Shadrack stood up and walked to the veranda railing, sat on it, and stared at the river. Shadrack loved the river as much as he loved Lillian Wallace. The angler had landed his salmon and was casting for another. Shad saw another salmon jump down on the bend. That lad landed his fish, and I just saw another one jump down on the bend. Dry, is there a run-on? Someone was telling Mom that the Renoose was full of fish, said Dryfly. That's good, said Shad. Too bad we didn't have a net. Shad was commencing to formulate another plan. If it didn't rain all night, he and Dry might borrow a net somewhere and go drifting for salmon. A perfect excuse for being out on the river. Netting salmon is against the law, saw Shad, and that makes it more fun. We'll have lots of cigarettes and whiskey. Dry and me will have some fun tonight. Is Helen McDonald still here? Asked Shad. I think she's finished for the day. She should be down in the kitchen, if she's still there, said Lillian. Do you want to see her? Oh no, just wondering. You suppose I can use your bathroom? Asked Shad. Of course, go through the living room and down the hall. It's at the end. Shad winked at Dryfly. I'll be right back, he said. As Shad was going through the door, he stopped. You didn't find a wallet here today, did you, Lillian? No. I think I left it here last night. It's probably on the sofa. Well, take a look around. I haven't seen it, though Dad might have found it. It don't matter. There wasn't any money in it. I'll just take a quick look. Inside, Shad went directly to the sofa, reached between the cushions, and came up with the wallet. He took the opportunity to scan the room. A carton of Lucky Strike cigarettes lay on the table in the corner. On another table, the bar, sat bottles of rum, rye, gin, bourbon, vodka, scotch, Dubonnet, sherry, and Canada Dry ginger ale. All's well, thought Shad. Went to the bathroom, peed, then returned to the veranda. While Shad was inside, Lillian asked, Shadrack tells me you're not in school. Do you have a job? No place to work around here, said Dryfly. I might go guiding in the fall. What does your father do? Me father's dead, said Dryfly. Never saw him in me life. I'm sorry, does your mother work? No, runs the post office. Really? There's a post office in the area? At our house, yeah. Good, I'll have to mail a letter and some postcards tomorrow. I'll come over and get them for you, said Dryfly. Oh, you don't have to do that. I don't mind. Ain't doing nothing anyway. Okay, tomorrow then. Lillian was thinking of herself and Dryfly being alone without Shadrack. I could say that I was with two boys then, she thought. Dryfly was nervous. He could not look Lillian directly in the eye. He was feeling not so much shy as guilty. He was feeling that maybe Shad's idea was not such a good one. What if they miss it? What if we get caught? Did you find your wallet? asked Lillian as Shadrack came through the door. Yep, said Shad, holding up his wallet. Shad sat on the veranda, railing once again. Why don't we go and get your guitar? He asked. No, not feeling too good. Oh, was there something wrong? Asked Lillian. No, just tired, I guess. Had a late night last night. Maybe me and Lillian could get the guitar for you, recommended Shadrack. Maybe you don't feel like playing, said Lillian. Oh, I don't mind playing. I just don't feel up to going after it. Me and Lillian will go for it, said Shad. I would love to hear you play, said Lillian. Would you if we went and got it for you? Yeah, but you lad will have to do the singing. I just play. I don't sing. Yeah, do so sing. I don't. Yeah, do. Don't. Want to get it, Lillian? How far is it? Just a little ways. Take about 10 minutes? Well, okay. Will you be all right here, Dryfly? Yeah, I'll just rest here while you're gone. Okay, we'll be right back. Shad reassured Dryfly with a wink. The wink said, It's all there, Dry, just like I said. When Shadrack and Lillian had gone over the hill and had disappeared into the foliage of Tooney Brook, Dry rose and went into the cabin. Inside, he found himself wanting to luxuriate for a while in the richness. The beautiful sofa and chairs, the mahogany tables, the fireplace, Dryfly found himself having to control his fantasies. The plan came first, and he didn't want to screw it up. Dryfly went to the table where Bill Wallace kept his liquor supply. He must be having a party, thought Dryfly. There's so much of it. As planned, to make sure that Bill would not miss anything gone, Dry poured a little from each bottle until the pickle jar was full of rum, gin, bourbon, vodka scotch, Dubonnet, sherry, and Canada Dry ginger ale. He then went to the other table, took 2 packs of Lucky Strike cigarettes. He won't miss 2 packs, he thought. Carefully, so as not to be seen, Dryfly sneaked out the back door of the cabin. He scanned the surroundings. All's clear. Everyone's fishing. He stashed his booty in the tall grass at the edge of the woods and went back into the camp. The camp was cool and smelled of pine. He sat in a big upholstered chair for no other reason than to test its quality, wanting to experience for the first time in his life what it was like to sit in a comfortable chair. He sighed. This is the life. He tried out the sofa. Then he tried a chair at the table. He ran his hand across the smooth surface of the table, gently feeling its coolness. He then reluctantly went back outside. Back on the veranda, Dryfly noticed that the thunder clouds had progressed considerably in their approach. They were deep and fluffy, the horizon blue as steel and periodically swept with lightning. The silence seemed deeper too, between the grumbles of distant thunder. It's gonna be a heavy storm, thought Dryfly, and checked to see if he was positioned in a safe place. In a storm, you should never set near a window, he thought. People draw lightning, so it's good to get indoors. Stay away from bulb sockets and plug-ins. Stay away from stoves. Lightning is apt to come down a stovepipe. There's danger all around, he thought. No escape. When a lightning storm hovered over Brennan Siding, half the population ran to a neighbor's house. If the storm was particularly heavy, they got on their knees and prayed. John Caston always led the prayers, saying things like, Dear loving Heavenly Father, smite the tempest, the voice mighty of the wilderness, and thank thee for removing the cancer from me bowels. John Caston loved to preach. John Caston was this far from being a preacher. If she's gonna hit, she'll hit, thought Dry. No sense worrying about it. Often when a storm approaches Brennan Siding from the northeast, depending on the preceding barometric decline, ahead of it comes the smell of sulfur, the smell of the smoke from the pulp mill in Newcastle. The storm pushes it and spreads it like a monstrous fart over the area. It spread over Brennan Siding this night and reached Dryfly's nostrils. Dryfly knew what it was. He'd smelt it many times. The pulp mill, he thought. You can always smell it before a storm. It smells like a fart. Whenever Dryfly smelled the pulp mill on the air, it always reminded him of Shirley's description of the devil. He's got big horns and a long tail with an arrowhead at the end of it. His eyes are yellow like a cat's and they shine at night. He smells like crap. Smells like the devil, thought Dryfly. Maybe he's coming to get me for what I just did. The lightning could be the light from the fires of hell. The thunder could be the sound of the big door slamming, or the devil's growl. Maybe that's why everyone prays when there's a storm coming. Dryfly did not like thoughts of the devil and shrugged them off. He did not know that if the devil existed, or God for that matter. Thunderstorms only came at the end of hot summer days, and Dryfly loved hot summer days. There were too few of them in this Northland, and when they came, he felt obliged to enjoy every minute of them, thunderstorms included. Down deep inside, he liked the thunder. Liking the thunder was one of the few things he had in common with his brother Palidin. When Shadrack and Lillian were crossing the bridge over Tooney Brook on the way from Shirley Ramsey's, Shadrack stopped and looked into the water. Sometimes you can see trout in there, he said. Really? Lillian moved closer to Shad and peered into the water. There's one, she pointed. There. And there's another one, said Shad, inching toward Lillian. Shadrack eyed Lillian. God, she's a pretty little thing, he thought. If there was the smell of sulfur in the air, Shad was not aware of it. All he was smelling was Lillian's perfume. If I don't make a move tonight, I might never get the chance, thought Shad. So what do? Pass the hand, say something mushy? That's an awful good smelling perfume you got on there, tried Shad. It's fire repellent. Still smells good. The thought of thunder tumbled in from the northeast. The smell of sulfur settled. Lillian sniffed the air and looked at Shadrack with disgust. I wish I could say the same thing about you right now, she thought. She turned and walked toward the Cabbage Island Salmon Club. Shad, carrying Dryfly's guitar, followed. Lillian was thinking of Shirley Ramsey. Their visit had been a brief one, just long enough for Shirley to get them the guitar. Shirley had been proud of the fact she had something to give and had shown Lillian great respect and courtesy. Lillian, however, only saw the slop pail, the broken mirror hanging over the sink, the backless chairs. How can people live in such a place, she thought. I've never seen such a place. And that's where Dryfly lives? Poor Dryfly. I've had enough fishing for one day, Lindon. Let's go back to the camp and have a drink. I'd like to discuss that property. Good. Gonna rain anyway. Might as well. When Lindon and Bill got back to the camp, they found Lillian being entertained by Shadrack and Dryfly. Dryfly was playing guitar and Shadrack was singing. George Hare shot a bear, shot him here, shot him there. George Hare shot a bear, shot him in the arse, never touched a hair. G'day, Bill. Lindon, how's she going, old boys? Yelled Shadrack. Good. Hi, boys. Lillian. Shad and Dry have been singing for me, Dad, explained Lillian. Well, don't let me stop you. Lindon and I have some business to discuss. We'll join you later. The two men went out inside. Bill poured them a couple of stiff scotches and sat across the table from Lindon. I should have had that salmon, Lindon. What do you think I did wrong? Nothing. Held him too tight, maybe? Not in your leader? Never did a thing wrong. Damn. We'll get him tomorrow. Yep, get him tomorrow we will. Let's drink to that, said Bill. Bottoms up. Bill emptied his glass. Lindon put his glass to his lips, opened up, and tossed the 2 ounces back, sloshed it around as if mouth-washing, and swallowed. Trip a ghost, he said. Have another, said Bill, and replenished the glasses. Well, Lindon, I've decided I'd like to buy that property. Do you or don't you want to sell? Well, I've been thinking, as the feller says, if you know what I mean. I've been thinking, sell if the price is right. Well, Lindon, old buddy, let's hear your price. Well, I know. There ain't no lumber on that shore. I know that. I know there ain't no hay on it. I know that. And I might sound dear, but I was thinking I'd sell if the price was right. Well, was thinking maybe, I don't know, it might sound dear and all that, but I was thinking maybe I'd sell it for $1,200. $1,200, Bill Wallace had been expecting $50,000. Well, I could let it go for a cent less than 1,000. No, not a cent. Not a cent less than 1,000. If you know what I mean, as the feller says, not a cent less than 1,000. Taking Bill's response negatively, Lindon thought, he thinks I'm asking too much. Bill Wallace wanted to laugh and whoop and holler. Instead, he tossed back the double of scotch. 1,200 is giving it away. I'm getting this property for almost nothing, he thought. Are you taking the whole front? Asked Bill. Oh, yeah. Yep, the whole front. No good to me, no lumber on it, no hay, no lumber. Good place to fish, though. Good place to fish. Go over the hill any time at all and catch a salmon, if so you can. I will die to you. Catch a salmon over there any time at all. So you can, yeah. How far back you talking? Back about 500 feet. 500 feet back to the top of the hill. Bill sipped his drink. He had been thinking 200 feet. This man doesn't have a clue what he's doing, he thought. At this rate, I could buy up the whole river. $1,000 you're asking. Well, I wanted 1,200, but I'd say there ain't no lumber on it, no lumber to speak of, like the feller says. Like I say, no hay on it either. Guess I could let it go for 1,000. Tell me, Lindon, you wouldn't be interested in selling the whole place, would you? No. Couldn't sell the house and the lumberland. No. Oh no, couldn't sell the house and the lumberland. Has the property been in the Tucker family for long? Ever since as the feller says, ever since the Great Fire of 1825. Yeah, 1825. I think it was me grandfather or me great-grandfather. Now I ain't sure. I don't know which. It was your grandfather that cleared the land? Either him or me great-grandfather. I as the feller says, I ain't sure which. All I know is the old feller, one of them, came here from Ireland after the fire, 1825. You couldn't find a tree big enough still standing, if you know what I mean. A tree big enough after the fire or a fence post. Who owns the property next to yours? Asked Bill. Well, Sam Little owns across the river from me, and Lester Burns owns the property left, and Frank Layton owns me to the right. How about the Lester Burns property? Is that a good pool? Good fishing, yeah. Good all along there, yeah. And who owns upstream from Lester? Bert Totter. Yeah, Bert ain't got much of a fishing hole, though. Ain't much of a pool owned friend of Bert's. Backside of Cabbage Island. Americans own the island and all this side. Bert just got a little trickle between him and the island. Bill Wallace poured some more scotch into Lindon's glass. Would you consider shaking hands on a deal tonight, Lindon, old buddy? Sure. If you got the money, sure. I'd like to shake hands if you got the money. $1,000, wanted 1,200, but I'll sell it to you for 1,000. 1,000, yeah. Well, Lindon, you drive a hard bargain, but I'd really like to have a place up there. Okay, we got a deal. Shake hands on her, put her there. Bill and Lindon shook hands aggressively. Both men were grinning happily. Both men were getting what they wanted, and both men were beginning to feel the effects of the liquor. "We have a deal," said Bill Wallace. "A deal, yeah." They drank to the deal. "You'll be building a camp?" asked Lindon. "Yes. You might be needing someone to look after your place when you're not there, if you know what I mean. Someone to look after the place." "Yes, by God, Lindon, old buddy, maybe I will." "Well, sir, I'll do it for you. So I would. I'm just your man. I'd do it for you. Wouldn't mind. I'm right there. Right handy, so I am." "That sounds like a good idea," said Bill Wallace, then thought, "And so this Lester Burns fellow, whom I'd like to give him to sell." "Gotta have a leak," said Shadrack. "Coming dry?" "Yeah, could do with one myself." Dryfly put his guitar down and followed Shadrack round to the back of the cabin. This was the fourth time they excused themselves and went to the place where Dryfly had hidden the pickle bottle and cigarettes. "Starting to rain," said Dryfly. "We better put these cigarettes in our pockets." "Yeah, but don't make a mistake and smoke one while we're inside. Here, have a drink." Both boys took substantial slugs of the concoction in the pickle bottle. Both boys were feeling a little woozy and starting to lose their inhibitions. The pickle bottle was only half full. "Good stuff, eh? Let's get back. I'm getting wet." "Who gives a Jesus? I don't care if I get wet. You care if you get wet, Dryfly? A little water wouldn't hurt you, Dryfly. Here, have one more little slug." "Ahem, ahem. I don't know if I can handle much more of that." "I can handle her. I can drink her if you can't, by God. Come on, let's get back." "You gonna play us another song?" "Sure, why not?" Back on the veranda, Dryfly picked up his guitar. "We should go inside," said Lillian. "The rain's starting to come in here." "Very best with me, darlin'," said Shadrack. "Sure, let's go in," said Dryfly. Inside, the teenagers found Lindon Tucker and Bill Wallace feeling very happy. Shad and Dry were also feeling very happy. Lillian Wallace, although she wasn't drinking, was picking up on some good vibrations and was also having fun. A celebration was commencing to brew. "Ah, boys, come in, come in. I see you have a guitar. Let's have another drink, Lindon." Lindon Tucker was grinning from ear to ear. "Don't mind if I do," he said. "A little drink wouldn't do us any harm." "Sing for us, boys. Sing us a song," said Bill. Dry sat on the sofa and strummed a G chord. "What would you like to hear?" he asked. "Anything you know is fine with me." Dryfly strummed on the G chord once again. "Roses are bloomin', come back to me, darlin', come back to me, darlin', and never more roam." Dryfly sang in clear and strummed smoothly. Dryfly was giving his first performance in front of an audience. He sang, "Roses are blooming, beautiful, beautiful brown eyes. The cat came back, and Hannah, won't you open the door?" Everyone listened, and everyone enjoyed. Much later, Bill Wallace said, "You know, back home in Stockbridge, there's this hotel. The Red Lion, it's called. I know the manager. You'd go over there well, Dryfly. I could arrange you a booking." "A booking?" "Sure. You could entertain there. You could come down and stay with us for a week and entertain at the Red Lion." "No, I ain't good enough to do that." "Yes, you are, my boy. There's a bunch of young people playing there all the time, and they aren't any better than you. In fact, you're better than most of them." Bill Wallace, though intoxicated, was serious. He liked Dryfly's singing. He liked Dryfly's guitar playing, and he liked Dryfly. He parts his hair in the middle. Not like all these Elvis Presley freaks, and I could get him a booking. Dryfly thought of the Red Lion many times, but that was all. He was too shy, too backward, and loved the Dungarvan River too much to leave it for a week. In Stockbridge, Massachusetts, people like Arlo Guthrie and Joan Baez were starting to get bookings at the Red Lion. The lightning flashed and the thunder boomed and rumbled. There was so much static on the radio that Shirley Ramsey not only turned it off but unplugged it as well. Shirley Ramsey was very afraid of the thunderstorms. She sat in the kitchen, smoking and fingering her rosary beads. Palidin was back in his room. Shirley hoped Dryfly was not on the river. Water draws lightning, she thought. Nutbeam, on the other hand, was not at all afraid of the storm. He liked it. It added excitement to his life. Nutbeam found the warm summer rain refreshing and often showered himself in it. Nutbeam was standing outside of Shirley Ramsey's window. He had gone to Shirley Ramsey's house to listen to the radio, but had lost all interest in listening when he saw Shirley Ramsey remove her clothes to take a bath. He moved closer, so that he was actually spying through the window a few inches from the glass. Nutbeam found Shirley Ramsey very exciting. "The most beautiful woman I ever saw in my life," he whispered to himself.